Welcome to the Lair, a place where interesting people you may know tell you things you didn't. So grab a chair and your favorite vice and get comfortable. There are no rules in the Lair, but there is Laura Babcock. You know her from TV, and she is not into media monogamy. Let's find out who else is in the Lair.
If you're just joining us in the Laircast, in the Lair, we are talking with Matt Green from Freestyle Fitness, and we are having an argument about a quote made by a Cable 14 producer about libertarianism, which for some people would be even too boring to repeat, so I'm not going to go back through that. The swinger comment kind of spiced it up, but not germane to the discussion. Gabriella is joining us in the debate, as
Hello.
always, in the discussion, and we have some other people in our audience here at the Lair. Matt, I asked you to be here. We've done a couple of TV appearances together, one or two, on The Opinionators in the past. I've met you in some other capacities, but the main reason I wanted to have you here is not just because you're a known guy around town and you're involved and you do some TV stuff, but because we had a long discussion one night at the Hamilton Club. It was an event that we were running for a company, I can't remember which one.
Promote the vote.
Yeah, it was a PSA for promoting the vote. And we were running the party. We'd rented the space. I'm a club member, and I was playing some Snoop Dogg, I think,
right.
Dr. Dre. And you came in, and you're like, oh, my God, I never thought I'd hear Snoop at the Hamilton Club. It was kind of like a colliding of worlds, right?
Absolutely.
And I thought that was a really interesting comment, and you come at things from a really different perspective. So elaborate on that comment first to get us going.
Well, I never thought I'd hear the D-O-double-G up in the Hamilton Club. I know there was a time, perhaps, when few people would be allowed in the Hamilton Club, a very exclusive organization in the city. So it was nice not only to have a female hosting a party there, but also to kind of have the free reign. So I can see that there's been some progress there. But I feel like with our conversations, like the last time I was on Cable 14, that it's just a continuation of the same conversation. And for me, that's been kind of carrying on with what Joey said, this idea of control of information.
Interesting, okay.
So he was my hero.
Joey was your hero.
Well, I mean, outside the mundane, I got this feeling that perhaps he has an alter ego somewhere, kind of like a Clark Kent in a Superman.
Yes.
And I feel like when he puts on the internet Superman cape, he could probably dig up emails from like my second girlfriend.
Was a journalist.
Well, you're the one who tweeted out he's the Julian Assange of Hamilton.
And I said that with all due respect
Yeah.
because, listen, if we're supposed to be in a democracy and there is transparency and we have closed-circuit televisions in Gore Park, you know what? Put one in City Hall. If they're looking after the riffraff down there, then perhaps they can look after the riffraff in the hall. I mean, that's just my own opinion.
So you mentioned that you think that in conversations with me, there's been this kind of continuity.
Ongoing.
Really, eh?
Well, the last time after the show there, we went and had a few libations in Hess Village.
Yeah, quite.
Joey happened to just show up.
Joey always shows up
He
when we're
does
in Hess
that.
Village.
So
He knows what's going on.
He follows us on Twitter and pops up.
absolutely.
It's true.
Foursquare. He's got you. You can't hide. So
not on Foursquare,
he pops
by
up,
the way.
and it's the first time that I've seen the guy, and I'm trying to wonder as he's talking, can he type as fast as he talks? Because
Yeah,
the
not possible.
information is incredible that comes out of this guy, and I follow it religiously,
Me too.
mundane or otherwise. And I think about the other Peggy Chapman. Wasn't she the one who sunk our friend Deanne's battleship way back in the day with the whole election thing there? We won't maybe get too far
No,
into
that's
that.
okay. Go for it.
So
Was Peggy behind that? I can't remember.
not Peggy Chapman, the assistant Peggy Chapman,
no.
the citizen.
You're
No,
talking
a woman.
About the Dundas Chapman.
That's right.
Yes.
Isn't her name
first name
Peggy?
wasn't Peggy, was it? No, it was Joanna Chapman. The
Chapman,
woman.
okay.
Yeah, it was Joanna Chapman. Peggy is currently the mayor's chief
Yeah,
of staff.
I'm
former-
very familiar
Right, but
and
Joanna
followed
Chapman was the citizen activist
Joanna,
who went
okay.
after Deanne for his financing
Yeah.
campaign irregularities.
And so I think that side of citizen engagement is very important because I find that in these 4-year cycles, people come out with these great platforms and these great ideas on how to improve communities. And I'm just thinking, well, where were they for the other 3 years?
So that sounds like a little bit of cynicism about political promises being realized.
Well, I think that it's procedural. Like Joey said, I'm not about the people that are involved.
Yeah.
I'm about the procedure. So if you're a counselor, or if you're a minister of Parliament, whether provincially or federally. If you have great platforms, if you're in power anyways, then don't hold until September. I'm not a big rabbit out of the hat kind of guy. I don't want to see that stuff come election time where all of a sudden you've been there 3.5 years and all of a sudden you got the answer. If you had the answer, you should have used it in your first year in office.
Right. So why do you think people do that? And I'm just tweeting about you here. I'm not ignoring you.
Well,
It's
no,
a multimedia form.
I'm used to being ignored, so I'm cool with it.
What do you mean you're used to being ignored?
Well, I mean, females, that's just how you guys roll. But that's a whole other conversation.
Okay, so, all right. So I got to challenge you on that point because you're not an unattractive individual.
Well, thank you.
You're
I
a
appreciate
fitness
that.
trainer. You're an attractive guy. You're on TV.
You have a billboard.
What chicks are ignoring you?
Well, you know what? It's all smoke and mirrors, really. Photoshop is great, so I'll just take
Dude,
that.
please. You're sitting in front of us. False humility is not a friend of mine. Come on.
Back to the point of
Hey, you threw it out there about being ignored by the ladies, man.
Yeah.
I had to follow up.
Well, I have a lovely girlfriend, and she chooses when to listen to my banter and when not
Okay,
to.
well, that's different. Being
So-
ignored by your partner is
Yes.
totally different than being ignored by the ladies in general.
So.
So back to what you're saying, yes.
Yeah, just about the process. And I think that if we are to move forward in a collaborative effort, and if people are operating inside of integrity, then there should be transparency through and through. And if we don't have a transparent process, like we carried on from the Cable 14 conversation a while back, if we don't have all the information, then how can we make democratic decisions?
So let me ask you this question, because you said, you put in a caveat there, if people are operating with integrity.
Right.
You, by your own comment about the Hamilton Club, and you probably have not always felt that people operate with integrity in society. I haven't had that experience as a woman. We had to break through some barriers, even my generation.
Sure.
Not everybody had my best interest and the best interest of everyone around them at heart, right? Not everybody's solid and has integrity. And you've run a business. You understand how difficult that can be. You must not really believe, or maybe you do, that people are really operating with integrity as their main driver.
Well, I mean, I can't really speak to that. I think everybody has their own circumference of what integrity entails. Some people, it's a very small circumference, and a lot of things are fair game. Some people, it's very large. So I can't comment on that from an individual standpoint. I just know.
Do you really expect that of civic leaders, that they're all operating with integrity?
Well, I think accountability leads to integrity. And so if we, again, taking out the individuals, if we're talking about procedure, if there's transparency in the procedure, the panoptic prism, people are being watched in an open collective democracy.
Right.
It's the gentleman who stands up and says, well, I thought this was taped to air. No, it's live to air. Well, then I'm going to remove my message.
Yeah.
It's going to force integrity. It's going to enforce people to be. But isn't that almost like reverse Big Brother?
But is that a bad thing?
I think that's democracy.
But
right?
It's basically saying, now that we can watch you technologically, we can broadcast you. You can't hide from anything. You're going to need to have integrity because we have the opportunity and the tools now to make you.
Well, I think we're in a Big Brother environment, anyways.
Okay, that's
so
fair.
it's coming our way down. I think that we're even broadcasting our own lives.
Right.
Foursquare, Twitter,
That's what
Facebook.
social media is all about. Everyone thinks everyone's a celebrity in their own little world, right?
Absolutely.
True. So let's talk about your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get to your Twitter feed,
Okay.
I got to talk to you about your email sign-off.
Yes.
What is it, Matt? Tell the world.
Basically, I hope you're creating a great day.
So you say that on that's your sign-off.
That's
it's not
me.
cheers or
No.
take care. It's, I hope you're creating, I think creating is even emphasized, a great day.
Capitals.
That's
Creating.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yelling at us.
I know, you're
Great
yelling
time
at us.
today.
Damn
Create
it,
it.
Laura, this
Yeah.
might be my third email,
What
but you
does
better
that-
be
what
creating
does
a
that
great day. Yeah, do tell.
Well, so basically, I'm a firm believer, not to an existential sense, but at the end of the day, if you're a miserable person, it's because you're choosing to be a miserable person. If you wake up and you're tired, it's because you're waking up and choosing to be tired. If you're living in a world of scarcity where nothing's going right and you're always a victim, that is also of your choosing in most case scenarios. So if I'm going to wake up in Hamilton, Ontario, day in and day out, and go on the grind and do what I feel I'm going to do to, make the place a little bit better than the way I found it, I might as well be happy doing it. And if not, then lie to me. Because at the end of the day, I have, everybody has their own set of issues, challenges, problems, and so on and so forth. So hold them or put them down, but it's really up to you.
What's the name of Oprah's mentor? She's an American poetess. I don't know the female for poet.
Maya Angelou?
Maya Angelou. Okay. She had some wisdom things that she'd learned in her life. I think she hit some milestone birthday recently, and one of them was just because things I've learned, and one of them was just because I'm in pain, I don't have to be a pain.
Sure.
And I love that because I came through a couple of years of physical things with having my 2 kids, and when I was in a lot of pain, it was really, I saved my good spirits only for my clients and what I absolutely had, and my children.
Right.
But other than that, I was miserable. And I just remember when I saw that, I thought, she makes an excellent point. You know, we're all in some kind of pain, physical, psychological, emotional, whatever, but we don't have to be a pain. We don't have to carry that forward.
Absolutely, nor do we have to transfer it on to other people. And I'm in an industry where I talk with people day in and day out, or I should say I try to listen with people day in and day out, because a lot of times they're doing the talking. Yeah, I mean, I do what I can that way, but I have my own theories of motivation. I think it's an intrinsic thing, kind of like a motor being inside of a car and not outside of a car.
So I want to get to that, but just for a second, the whole trainer-client relationship, it is kind of a counseling thing, not unlike people who get regular haircuts. It's
110%.
Yeah, I'm a hairdresser that a client will see 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. You build really...
And they're also vulnerable, and they're shamed sometimes, or they're proud. You know, like if on the starting of a training experience, it's a pretty... You're with someone who's super fit. They might be supportive and whatever, but there's a feeling of, am I being judged? Am I not performing? I mean, it's pretty intense emotionally, right?
I mean, I'm weighing people. I'm measuring people. I'm pinching their fats.
Yeah.
I get to know them.
Source of could be a source of so much pain for that person.
Absolutely.
It's so invasive.
And so my biggest challenge is managing expectations. And so the thing that we try to do is shift the paradigm in fitness to have it not be about aesthetics. There's not one mirror in my studio. We're not a weight loss clinic. I don't sell weight loss. I've had many clients lose over 100 pounds each, but I don't tell somebody else that, because if they only lose 20 compared to that 100, that's a failure. So
and with fitness, it's so, sorry to interrupt, but it's so easy to compare yourself to other people.
Oh, for
We're
sure.
constantly doing that.
Well, you know, if this woman or this man or, you know,
the greatest
they
reward
look this way, and why don't I look this way?
The greatest reward for being in shape is just feeling better. I mean, your thing about if you wake up tired, you choose to be tired. Well, part of that is if you let yourself, run yourself down. You know, when you, we all know when we're in our. I think maybe you're different, Matt, but a lot of us have peaks and valleys of fitness. Years where we're in the zone and we're treating ourselves well and we're fit.
That's
we feel
everybody.
fabulous.
Absolutely.
And then there are years where we're just like, where the hell did that come from?
You know what's funny? You know, so I've been actually looking at this. I've been looking at this, and I think that ebb and flow cycle is very much tied to our interpersonal relationships.
Really?
Singles train their ass off. But I'm telling you, find yourself a good woman or a good man, and in the beginning, it's nice. You're out there, you're running together, you're going for long walks, you're holding hands, you're going to yoga class together. It's wonderful. And then you go ahead and you have a long week, and let's just watch a movie tonight.
Do you know what it's called?
Let's just go out. It's called...
There's an expression for that.
What's
it's called
that?
chub love.
Chub love. You know what? I love the chub love. It's, I mean, you get comfortable.
Love chub. It's basically you get comfortable, you get in love, and it's like, let's just chub together. Because we don't have to look hot and sexy because we think each other's hot and sexy.
Sure.
My husband and I are the greatest victims of that. Because both of us, we've gained and lost 70 pounds together over the years, depending on what was going on in our careers, our life, personal tragedy, etc.
And here's where it flips. So that happens in the settle-in phase, right? And that's the love. What'd you call it? The love chub. Chubbed up. Okay. There could be. Yeah, the other way around might be something different, right?
It's love chub.
That might be something different. So you have that first.
Although you can chub love too, as you love chub.
So you start there, right? And then you get comfortable, right? It's kind of like the Frosh 15 of the relationship.
Yeah, you're having fun.
Right. But then what happens? You get serious, right?
Right.
Maybe he proposes. Now girls are out there looking for wedding dresses and all this stuff. This is where the psychosis settles in. You can have an entire wedding party, and I mean, a woman will come to me and say, I want to lose 30 pounds. And I say, okay, it's September. When do you want to lose it by? January. Okay, how long did it take you to put it on? 5 years. And I'm like, you want it gone in 3 months? So weddings come, you lose the weight, you get married.
And you're...
Boom!
Yeah.
Well,
now, unfortunately, in today's society, what happens is, or what tends to happen, I don't know, 52% of the time, then the divorce comes. That's when you get the 40, the 35, 40, 45-year-olds coming back. And now they're training their ass off with even greater vengeance.
Right.
Well, they have to work harder, right?
They do.
Ebb and flow.
And they got to be hot. But now this sounds terribly, crass, but you've heard the expression, what are the 2 things the bride says once she says, I do?
What's that?
She says, I do. No more diets, no more other things that she might have done to get a man.
Sure.
I'm trying to be polite.
Yeah, I got you.
But one of the first things is no more diets, man. It's like, woo, I've been locked in.
Yeah.
The pressure is off to make your point. And then later in life, an event happens, they're single again, they got to get back in shape.
I don't want to put this strictly on women, though, because if you think it's hard enough, I mean, for women, if a man is going into a second stage of relationships later on in life, it's even harder.
Do you think that men have the same image issues that women do?
Worse.
Really, eh?
Because we fake it.
What do you fake?
We suck it in. You feel me, right? Like, I mean, you're in there and you're flexing.
Now all of a sudden he's sucking.
Try to go ahead and do a couple push-ups. Here's how you can tell. If you want to see, I'm the same way. I mean, I'm probably 15 pounds heavier than I need to be. If you go by a man, right? Go ahead and just brush by his arm. Watch him fletch up real quick. Okay. It's called a man flex. It doesn't matter who it is. He'll give you that. Or if you touch his stomach.
Okay,
I mean, we're instant.
So I get that you're instantly responsive and reactive to your vanity or your touch, but you don't wear Spanx, you don't wear fake nails, you don't wear fake hair. I mean,
this is a great point.
We're the queens of faking it. Didn't you see that?
We just overcompensate. We go out and buy a Porsche or a Corvette, or we do something silly like that. Like that's how we, okay. So it's kind of a give and take. If it's not aesthetic, then it'll be superficial. You have to
be rich would be the stereotype, right?
What would you say that?
Okay, somebody quote Tony. What is it? First you get the money, then you get the power. Then you get the women, right? It's all from Scarface.
Okay. I thought, Biggie Smalls might have said that too.
I think he's putting Scarface.
I was going to say, is there an ideal, I know there's no ideal, right? Because everyone's different.
Right.
But, for a man, what do a lot of your clients request to look like? Or,
you know what? So I really focus on controlling the conversation in my space.
Right.
Because I want my space to feel like a place of empowerment. Mm-hmm. No mirrors. No aesthetics,
no scales in the bathroom?
No egos. We have scales, but I mean, if there's one way that you can go on suicide watch, put somebody on a scale every week.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? And unfortunately,
sure.
Speaking back to integrity, our industry is one that lacks it in a lot of areas.
Absolutely.
People will use that vulnerability to continue to sell people and stuff. That's not me.
Yeah.
I try to talk about lifestyles. Do you feel good? Yes. Can you do more push-ups than you could last week? Yes. Can you run around the block faster than you could last week? Yes. Let's keep going.
So, Matt, let me ask you this. We started talking about civic issues,
yes.
media engagement issues, integrity,
right.
The process, not the people. I mean, you could be sitting here like you're working in the communications field or in political field or in whatever. Joy Coleman's your
He's my
Twitter
hero, my internet hero.
He's your internet hero, and yet you have this whole other career, motivation, physical fitness stuff that wouldn't necessarily be thought to. There's not maybe, and I don't want to be cruel here or wrong, but I don't think of a lot of fitness experts as being engaged in punditry. Like it just seems like you're crossing over two very different worlds.
So, and I can speak to that a little bit. I mean, I have a political science and legal studies background. That was my academic background. And a lot of kids, when I was coming out of school, they got themselves the real, the cheap little suits there and their nice little briefcase, and they went off to the hill, or they went to law school with these big ambitions of taking over the world. I left Hamilton at 19, never thinking I'd come back here. Went out east, spent some time over in Europe.
Were successful in sports?
I did okay.
The Bavarian American Football League, was it?
Yeah. I played overseas, and I was all conference and stuff like that. But I don't think I was ever born to be a football player. I was just a guy who played football. I mean, I wrote for the student paper and did all that stuff in school, and was pretty engaged there. Started a political party in school. It was classic. We called it the New Student Movement, and the editor of the paper made the very point to say, "Well, how come student is only singular?" And I'm like, "Well, I guess it's just me." It's a movement, damn it. We're going with it.
Rule number 2 to a party: more than one person has to show up.
So I lost to a guy who happened to be a beer rep. Okay, the guy had beer chits. I can't compete with that in college. I was trying to overthrow a system that was pretty much Canada's, Ivy League semi-private school at Acadia out there. But great education. I came home, and when I came home as a tourist. I saw the city, and I saw little things. Upper James. I grew up on the mountain, and I said, man. I just spent time in Germany, and I knew the German way of thinking. If Mercedes and BMW are building car dealerships on Upper James, the demographic can support it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you look at the hotel growth that's happening in the city, where are these people? Where are they going? Well, they're coming here for a reason. Why? Because people don't invest that kind of money unless they see the flow through. So when we came back, I was trying out for professional football, and that didn't happen. Probably to my benefit due to some concussions and stuff like that. I'm actually probably thankful that I didn't make it. There's a lot of research coming out about concussions
multiple
now.
Concussions, yeah.
And I started a business with my best friend, and we founded the company on what we now understand to be social enterprise principles, and it's very simple. The guiding principle is people helping people, and people over profits. And so we just wanted to really kind of promote this new paradigm of fitness, make it accessible to people, because prior to that it was very elitist.
Well, it flies in the face of the corporate chains,
absolutely,
too.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And we put it Jackson and Ferguson, and this is before any of the renovations. Like literally, I'd be standing on my fire escape telling crack dealers, you can do what you do, you just can't do it here. Telling prostitutes, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you have to go down the street. And we stayed through that whole
It's a
kind
cool
of
place. It's a cool space you've got.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we did what we could. It's not unsimilar to what you're doing here, trying to breathe life into something that was previously pretty downtrodden. And you know, 6 years in, I've gone through all the paces. We went through the recession. I started up a program on the Six Nations territory at the height of the reclamation when they were protesting. Wow. I'm driving by picket lines, turning onto the territory, and starting up shop there. So I think I get a kick out of kind of going into marginalized communities and trying to promote this idea of empowerment, whether it's through physical fitness or otherwise.
You grew up on the mountain? Did you grow up in any kind of way marginalized? Or did
Well,
you grow up
I mean, I
middle
think
class,
being
or?
a visual minority, I mean, I don't wear it. I don't pull that card out. But at the end of the day, have I been accused of stealing and detained when I've stolen nothing? Absolutely. Have I been branded and you know, characterized in schools and streamed certain ways because of, you know, what their perception was of me? Absolutely.
Let me ask you
I've
this
been
question.
jumped by skinheads. There's all types of stuff that happens when you grow up.
What do you think of the term visual minority? And the reason I ask is because I just found out the other day that the World Human Rights, I think through the United Nations, considers Canada to be tougher terms than I'm going to use, but basically, I don't want to say they call us racist, but they think that we have poor human rights because we use the word visual minority. We use it, and which suggests, of course, that anything other than white is somehow not the norm or not what Canada is. And they've been asking us to change that, and it never occurred to me. And so when I hear someone who's a visual minority use the term without any kind of hesitancy,
it's social, like you're
but
socialized to use.
I'm just surprised by it because I hate to think that Canada is getting criticized for that when in so many ways we are, I would think, an tolerant
listen,
country.
I love my country. I've traveled all over the world, and I can tell you emphatically that there's no better place in the world to live.
Yeah, I agree.
There is a diversity here that brings a vibrancy into the culture and the communities of our cities, and you won't find it anywhere. I've been other places, haven't seen it.
So is there a benefit though to it? And what I mean by that is that there. Well, you tell me what the benefit is before I hypothesize.
So I'll make the delineation about this idea of being a visual minority. I'm biracial. Right? So being biracial, my mother's white and my father's black. So I don't have the luxury of choosing one or the other internally. But if I walk down the street and I'm encountered by a group of, let's say, skinheads, like when I was 12 years old downtown here, and I'm jumped and my brother's jumped and we're called all these words, I know that given the public's perception of me, I'm black. Now, the irony is I went to spend 3 weeks in Africa, in Liberia, and there I was considered white. But the flip side of that is in the complexity of it is I say, okay, well, I was in a country whose president, the first female head of state in Africa, is also biracial. So I said, is Madam Johnson Sirleaf black? And they said, absolutely. Is Barack Obama black? And emphatically, everybody will say absolutely. And I say, so where does that line of logic?
But sadly and ironically, you're on the outs on both.
Well,
you're
I don't
minority
consider
on both.
You know what?
But even in a black country, you're considered to be the minority white, and in a white country, you're minority black.
Yeah, and I'm fine with it. That has really allowed me to kind of navigate both worlds and feel comfortable.
So somebody, a friend of yours, jokingly told me to call you an Oreo just to get you upset.
Yeah, and that's fun because everybody loves Oreos, you know what I mean? So however you want to eat it, it's all good, Lauren. I still got love for you. You know what I mean?
You know where that's coming from.
I wear my Jewish necklace just for you, Lauren. I got my Chaim right here, Mazel Tov and all that stuff to all my Jewish people. I love you.
So do you feel more black or more white?
I feel me, right? I really feel me. And
does one community engage you more than another?
I think I'm fairly involved in the black community here in Hamilton. I feel like I'm very involved in the community of Hamilton.
Yeah, but you're part of the Black Masons, right?
I'm part of of the Prince Hall Freemasons. Mount Olive Lodge is the oldest North American historically black fraternity. Absolutely proud to be a Prince Hall Mason.
So the reason why I just ask is because it would seem to me, I grew up, I'm an Anglo-Saxon mutt, as I call myself. I'm sort of 6 different, but all from the same kind of general Northern Europe area.
Right.
But, if I hear U2 play, I feel this tremendous pull towards them. But if I see the royal wedding, I feel a pull towards being British. I feel a pull towards all my different backgrounds. I can't imagine, though, in your case, as you say, being biracial, where it's 50-50 and where the visible minority factor comes in, how do you feel pulled towards each community?
I don't. I mean, primarily, if you listen to the guiding principles of the company, which are personal principles, it's it's essentially people helping people, and if you can come from that standpoint, it shouldn't matter where somebody's from. I love culture.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll catch me with the South Asian community. My father has a martial arts background, so I grew up at the Japanese Cultural Center doing things like kendo and karate. And I just love culture. I love different cultures. I love variety. So do questions
like the ones I'm asking you, do they annoy you?
No. I think it's an important conversation. I think it's one that people tiptoe around.
Right. Well, yeah, because you don't seem annoyed.
Not at all.
I'm sitting here thinking, man, somebody listening to this, not that it would stop me, somebody listening might go, God, Laura, how can you ask a guy that question?
And you know what? That's what I can appreciate about this kind of dialogue, because I think, look, there's lots of conversations that we're afraid to have. I think Canada is going to be faced with these. Every now and again, you'll get those really, really, really asinine email forwards. We can't have Christmas anymore because of all these damn immigrants. Well, you know what? Slow down. And at the end of the day, if you just look at the numbers, and if you try to take away your biases and realize that our birth rates for quote unquote European Canadians are not going to sustain our economy, where's it going to come from? So you can't have your cake and eat it too. And if you want to have people to take care of the boomer generation that's going to be in old age homes, I joked with somebody who was very intelligent but came to me with that shit, and I just said, listen, you better learn to speak, Mandarin, Filipino, whatever it is, because somebody's going to be giving you a bath in your 90s.
Well, you know what?
So
you're very.
Is it going to be a cloth or a sandpaper? You got to be nice.
You're being really pragmatic about immigration and that, and it can be more frustrating than that. We can all come at it from a perspective of its ignorance or its fear, but I hear no judgment in you. You keep saying it's not about people. You're being very pragmatic. So my last question to you, Matt, because I could talk to you all night. My last question to you is the obvious one, which I'm sure you've been asked 1,000 times. You've got the profile, you've got the charisma, you've got the intelligence, you've got the passion, yada, yada, yada. Politics?
I'll probably enter the politics the same time you do.
Okay, so we'll be in that old age home together talking about what we could have, should have done.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to come out here and have this conversation. I'm really looking to come forward to sit in that the peanut gallery and heckle some people coming through.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'll let you know the next Lair chat. All Lair guests are always invited. And we get, as you saw earlier tonight, we get some hecklers during the primetime Lair chat. So thanks so much.
My
it's great
pleasure.
talking to you. I'm sure we'll do it again. Thanks,
sure.
Matt.
Chats in the Lair is a Power Group production. Visit us at powergroup.ca or laircast.com, or check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.